Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome along to Slovakia for round 2 of TCR Europe 2021. Great to have you along with us for this partially reverse grid race. Qualifying yesterday morning had Mikhail, we had Tom Coronel, on the pole position, and in 9th and 10th were the two Hyundais, the new Elantra N with Meddy Bernardi and Felice Jelmini. And they, therefore, are on the front row of the grid. Yves Bacalin parades the grid. As we have a beautiful day here in Slovakia, amazing what we've experienced over the 3 days that we've been here. Just an hour from Bratislava, we had a pretty horrific rain on Friday afternoon, and as you will know if you followed any kind of motorsport from Slovakia Ring, it either is like this or it's like that. It was horrible weather on Friday afternoon, and free practice 2 was in the wet conditions. Qualifying was cold, but we've not really experienced this type of heat so far this weekend. Again, a voyage of unknown. We've got new tyres for 2021 from Hankook, and we are on a circuit which is hard on the tyres. And we have heat, which will make it harder on the tyres. They certainly did drop off at the end of race 1, and they'll be dropping off more at the end of race 2. So the likes of Bernardi, for instance, who starts on the front row of the grid, there he is with his Elantra, a long wheelbase Elantra as well, will be struggling with overheating the front tyres, and the challenge will be to get the car rotated and to be kind on those front tyres for the majority of the race. The Elantras did go forward in race 1, and in fact at the end of the race it was basically Felice Jelmini who was the 4th of the Elantras. He starts in 2nd position just alongside Meddy Bernardi. In the end, actually, Sami Taufluik was given a 30-second penalty, so he ended up being the 4th of the Sebastian Loeb Elantras. Jelmini definitely struggled with keeping his tyres alive in yesterday's race 1, and so will have worked hard. The Sebastian Loeb team in general working really hard over the afternoon, evening and into the morning to get those cars spick and span. It's basically their European sprint race debut. They've been racing or being used for endurance races, but not for sprint races. Isidro Cajellas doing a really, really good job yesterday, the Spaniard. Got a great start, and unfortunate to have a mishap about 3/4 through the race where he ran wide at turn 2, hit a few bumps in the gravel and grass. That then put a fracture in the rear left suspension, and with a couple of laps to go, or actually it was a lap to go, the rear suspension broke off and he retired. Another retirement from yesterday's race, starting high up the field. Klim Gavrilov, the Motorsport Games champion for TCR and a multiple race winner in TCR Russia, got involved in an accident at turn 2 on lap 1, got turned around, and therefore he was our first DNF of yesterday's race. Did not finish a lap. Got that car fixed though, the Russian team. And so plenty of people trying to make amends after yesterday on the front couple of rows of the grid. Franco Girolami was another who got caught up in that first lap fracas. Daniel Naj, with his first experience of the Cupra Leon Competizione from Zengo Motorsport, he starts 6th. And then Dusan Borkovic, who activated his speed limiter button in the fracas on the 2nd corner, and that's why he lost so many positions. Tom Coronel had a turbo pipe with a crack down the middle of it, therefore that's why he was so slow. Expect him to move up through the field. Matto Homola, we see on the grid, it wasn't necessarily a power steering fault from that car. There was oil discovered as well as power steering fluid, and so plenty of work done on his i30N to get him on the grid. He will start today's race. Did not start yesterday's race, but he will start in 12th position. So plenty of stories from the paddock last night. Brutal Fish also hosting a small soiree and welcoming everybody to Slovakia. Brutal Fish, a team based out of Slovakia, and basically Martin Rieber who is on the grid in 16th position. He's kind of the team owner. And so he welcomed everyone to Slovakia and provided a few apparel spritzes for everyone to relax with after a hard day's work. We got to the circuit early yesterday to get our qualifying in. Today, much calmer morning for everyone in TCR Europe. Even a chance to go off to the local zoo, which is just behind this corner here on the left-hand side. Lions and tigers, would you believe? And plenty of Slovakian children desperate to get into the zoo this morning. Our timing man, Mike, went out on the circuit last night to go and try and find Viktor Davidovsky's transponder. You might remember he was not registering the first couple of laps, and they did manage to find his transponder in the gravel trap of, I think, turn 4 or 5. And reported that when you're walking along this part of the circuit, whilst there are no race cars, every so often you hear the roar of a tiger and a lion, which is, I think, pretty unusual for a racetrack. Love that little story. It's quite a facility here in Slovakia Ring, now with a kart track that is about 2 years old as well. They've got a big skid pan, they've got a hotel, and this wonderful circuit that was built. The facility itself began life in about 2008, 2009, has hosted FIA championships, both in GT and in touring cars. And it's the first time that TCR Europe have visited, although plenty of TCR races here in the past, whether it be at Central Europe or Eastern Europe or world level, but we as TCR Europe have never been here before. Most of the drivers, though, on this field have raced in other championships that have visited, so not too many rookies. And of course, it's a relatively cheap place and a relatively accessible place to come testing. So lots of testing work done here, and plenty of laps turned by the likes of Brutal Fish. Tom Coronel's been here as well. I think Mikhail Ashkenat was reporting that he's been here. He's our championship leader, by the way, after yesterday's victory. And second in qualifying as well, so not quite maximum points for Ashkenat, but pretty close. But could this be the first victory for the new Elantra, the third Hyundai TCR car after the i30 and the Velostar, or the Speedster, depending on which part of Europe you're from? There's Dusan Borkovic. As I say, had a good chat with him. Go on to our TCR Europe Facebook page, and you'll see my report after yesterday's action. Dusan getting caught up after a poor start, his only proper standing start in that Audi RS3. Got caught up in a little accident in the second corner, and as he was reacting, he tried to press the radio button and caught the yellow flag button, basically the pit lane speed limiter, if you like. Dropped the car down to 80 kilometers an hour, and eventually managed to recover from that. So plenty of stories up and down the paddock, and Dusan admitting that not necessarily his finest hour, but a very, very difficult thing to jump into a brand new car with little testing and to get the maximum performance out of it. Two Peugeots at the tail of the field, unfortunately, for the Claret Sport team. It's been a difficult one for them, but let's get race 2 underway here in Slovakia. Not a very quick hold on the lights, and a very good start this time from Franco Girolami and the Honda. The Honda's always been a good car that starts well, and now Meddy Bernardi switching to the inside line to defend going into turn 1. We've got 4 cars abreast going into turn 1, with Kirilov on the very, very inside trying to squeeze through Yelmini. Any smoke? No, it seems like they've all managed to get through as we focus on Mato Homola, who has made a good start. On the grass, though, Ashkenat being forced wide and then wide again, and he's really being bullied here into turn 2. He's again on the outside line. This is always a tricky one because it's pretty much flat out, and Ashkenat just about keeping the car on the tarmac as we now head down to the first real braking zone of the lap. And Girolami looks like he might take second from Girilov. That's a great move, great start from Girolami from 5th on the grid. Oh, and Sami Tafluik has not got himself away. That's a shame for the Moroccan, who is mentored by race leader Meddy Bernardi. a place where Bernardi has been before. He didn't win any races last year in his way to the championship title, TCR Europe season 2020 champion, aboard the Audi RS3 from Come To You Racing, switched teams, bringing Sebastian Loeb Racing into TCR Europe for the first time, and the Elantra leads. Still lots of sorting out going on a bit further back. Tom Coronel trying to find a way through. Doesn't look like he's made a particularly good start. He's lost ground to Matto Homola, and we have yellow flags. Has everybody seen those yellow flags? Because it's pretty messy out there. There's the safety car, and presumably that's to... Well, no. Why have we got the safety car out? We've got more cars in the gravel than we've seen, because I thought it might be for Sammy's car, but he's already in the pit lane. So let's see what's happened then. Great start from Mikhail Ashkenat by the looks of things. Started in 9th position, made a great start, but then got bullied into turn 2. Why have we got the safety car out? There's Sami Tauflik, who's obviously got an issue somewhere down there. They're trying to see if there's an electronics cable loose. Right, so let's get an update on race order, which is not been updated yet on my timing screen because we haven't yet completed a lap. But it will do when we come over the line now. So Meddy Bernardi leads, Franco Girolami up to 2nd, Klim Gavrilov 3rd, Mikhail Ashkenat 4th from 9th on the grid, Daniel Naj not progressing too much into 5th. So Felice Yalmini was a big loser, and Callejas, who made a good start in race 1, down to 7th position. Homola up to 8th, Bert down to 9th, Coronel staying in actually in 10th position, ahead of Dusan Borkovic. And then Claire made a great start, Jimmy Claire up to 12th position, Jakim Galash in 13th, Nils Langeveld not a good start, down to 14th, Davidovsky 15th, that's a progress from him. Leonov 16th, Rebus 17th, Jack Young, Teddy Claire, and then Colombani and Poussier. They're all completing that lap, which means the only car that hasn't finished lap 1 is Sami Tauflik. There he is. Suggestions by the looks of the inquiries that perhaps he's not got any drive, so has he done a drive shaft trying to get off the line? Either way, having removed his car off the grid, I don't think we need this safety car. Yeah, safety car in this lap. So race control reacting to the fact that Sammy's car might not get into the pit lane on time, and that's why the safety car was thrown. So look at Callejas. He was one of the losers, and Callejas is going to be on the outside line going into turn 1. A great start from Franco Girolami, really hooked it up from row 3 on the grid, and actually so did Mikhail Ashkenat, who also went to the outside line, and that's why initially I thought he's going to get bullied. Girolami going to the very outside in the end, and I think must have squeezed Callejas, because Girolami going up to 2nd position, and Callejas down to 7th. Well, this will be welcome. 1 safety car lap means 1 less push lap on the Hankook tyres. As I say, we don't really have enough experience yet on the Hankooks to know how they will deal with 12 laps of hot racing. And of course, when we go to France in a couple of weeks' time, Paul Ricard the next round, it's likely to be even hotter. And it's also a bit of a tyre breaker, long, sustained corners. So they're trying to work out if that's a drive shaft or differential or clutch. Doesn't look like they're looking in the kind of clutchy area. So, and of course the Elantra, a new car, so relatively new to the team as well. We're certainly not entirely sure what's going on. What we do know though is Sami Tauflik, unfortunately, is going to come away from this weekend pointless. Points down to 15th. And Sami did finish in the points yesterday, but got a 30-second drive-through penalty, so dropped down to 17th. And now we go racing once again. Meddy Bernardi gets the race back underway, safety car in, and we've got 9 more laps to go. Pretty much equidistant between our drivers. Ashkenat putting Gavrilov under a bit of pressure, and Mato Homler under huge pressure further back. I think Dusan Borkovic is going to get past, and Gavrilov's run a little bit wide. That's allowed Ashkenat through and into third position. And look further back, Homler with the two Audis behind him. So Homler has Bart, Coronel and Borkovic. He's got three. Oh, that's a big one. That's a big, big moment. Has that Elantra facing the right direction still? Yes, it is. That must be Yelmini, I would have thought. And he's going to lose a handful of positions, being pushed to the outside line. Now, overtaking under safety car. Yes, there was a lot of overtaking going over the brow of the hill there. Who benefited and who didn't? The race control are going to try and find out. Mato Homler then behind Callejas. So actually, the car of Yelmini only lost 2 positions here, and now Coronel looks down to the inside. Here it is, just a bit too hot, bit too little car tyre temperature, and somehow keeps that car facing the right direction. Big moment for the Italian. Was 6th at the start of this lap, now sits behind Homler, so I think he would be in 8th position. But looking a bit further back, need to see where all those Audis are for Come To You Racing. Yeah, so Coronel's got ahead of Nicola Bart. Bart then second of the Audis, and third is Dusan Borkovic. So Coronel up into 9th spot then, but not yet past Yelmini. Yelmini. Got to remember when you say this name that you are basically Italian. Think of it, think like you're Italian and it comes out Italian. Battle for 8th position. Those tyres should now be clean for Felice, so he should have the grip once more, but does he have the confidence to take these first couple of corners pretty much flat out? If he doesn't, he'll be swallowed up by Coronel. 2 groups developing then, the top 5, and then Callejas on his own in the Brutal Fish Honda, and then the next group, which is led at the moment by Mato Homler, 7th position, finally getting a chance to race in a touring car around his home circuit after missing out yesterday. Just trying to think, actually, probably a bit of information I should have looked at earlier the last time Mato Homler raced here in Slovakia. And again, Felice making a mistake at turn 2, again running wide, and this time Coronel's going to go on the inside. Nicola Bart's going to probably follow through here, but he's not quite close enough, and Yelmini only losing 1 position there. And Coronel will now latch onto the back of Mato Homler and make sure Homler cannot get away. Meanwhile, it's close at the front between Bernardi, Girolami and Ashkenat. Just 0.8 of a second between our top 3 cars as Gavrilov's lost a position to Ashkenat. And the Spaniard onto the podium once more. Last season, Ashkenat joining us for the last 2 rounds of the championship, took 3 victories in 4 races. Can he do a double here as well? 3rd position already. It's been an incredible start for the Cupra Leon Competizione. Some plenty of testing. Oh, and Homler losing a little bit of ground there. Momentum not quite there. He turns in early to shut the door on Tom Coronel. Homler with us for the last 2 years at TCR Europe. Would have raced here probably in 2018 in the Touring Car Cup in the Peugeot. That was the last time he'd have raced here in Slovakia. His results were not strong. Points down to 15th, so he's in a good position right now for points, but Coronel definitely looks like the faster man. Coronel reminding us all that he's won 3 times here in Slovakia. Ashkenat up to 2nd position ahead of Franco Girolami. And I think Coronel will do the same to Mato Homler through turn 1 as well. Ashkenat now with his head down, and Bernardi's got a little bit of a gap, hasn't he? So Bernardi not the slowest man. We wait to see, yes, Coronel has got through, and Felice Yelmini trying to go around the outside at the corner that he has no confidence or has been off track for the last 2 laps. keeps the car on the island this time and has the momentum, and now looking to the inside of Matto Homola. Homola with restricted running this weekend. Oh, he's got through, and here comes Nicolas Bart as well, late on the brakes, a little bit of a lock-up. But the circuit starts now to benefit Homola because it goes left this time. And for the moment, Bart has to slot behind. Jelmini, though, is the cork in the bottle here, and again, a little bit sideways. We're trying to get that Elantra to rotate so that he's not relying too much on the front tyres. And a nice slow-mo of just how he did it, a little kiss. And a big old lock-up from Nicolas Bart. But Homola holding on around the outside. Coronel, let's watch his lap times now in clear air, and there's a big old queue of cars behind Matto Homola. I think it's the rest of the field that are trying to get past the i30N. Homola part of the Hyundai Junior program. There's lots of scuffing going on. Oh, that's a bit of contact, a lot of contact between Dusan Borkovic and Jimmy Claret. It is. That's opened the door for Niels Langeveld, who's not really having much of a fun time in this second race. He was the best of the Hyundais in race one, but he's found himself in a lot of strife here, a lot of traffic to try and get past, even if that Hyundai is fast. A lot of rubbing on the rear door of Dusan Borkovic, defending from Jimmy Claret, and that may well mean, as he had in race one, carrying damage for the rest of the race. Bent steering for the rest of race one for Dusan Borkovic, and that's where the pace kind of dropped away from. Now, Coronel, fastest lap of his race, faster than pretty much everybody on track apart from Ashkenat. Got to watch out, because I think next lap, Mikhail will be on the tail of our Moroccan leader and be looking to take it a double victory and stop the Elantra from taking its first sprint race victory here for race 2 in Slovakia. Hello to Neil Hudson, who joins us. And reminding us that Homola has won in Slovakia 2014 in ETCC, the old Super Touring, Super 2000 days, I should say. I remember that. I was there, I think. Or was I? Probably not, actually. Maybe, not sure. I think they probably shared the programme with the World Touring cars that weekend. An observation, of course, we had one safety car lap, therefore our race distance has gone up to 11 laps. And we are about halfway through. Niels Langeveld looking down the inside of Dusan Borkovic as he managed to make it stick. There might have been a little bit of contact to open the door. Dusan's going to try and stick it out alongside him. We saw this move being done, or tried to be done, by Jimmy Claret. Oh, Dusan's got his shoulders out there and pushed him onto the grass. Don't mess with Dusan Borkovic when he's inside a race car. He has elbows as big as himself. And Niels being pushed onto the grass. That is touring car racing. Evgeny Leonov down in 18th position. Qualified in the top 10, but he's in the top 12, sorry. Got himself into Q2, but he's not having a very good run of things here. Down to 18th, in fact 19th, behind Teddy Claret now. So what do we think of this move then? Side by side, coming into shot. Niels Langeveld gave Dusan a lot of room. Dusan didn't give a lot of room to Niels, did he? See what race control think of that. At the front of the field then, battle on for the lead of the race. Meddy Bernardi versus Mikhail Ashkenat. Another man that is very, very hard to overtake, Meddy Bernardi. Also has sharp elbows. And Ashkenat will need to be clever. He'll need to be intelligent to make sure that move is done cleanly. Ashkenat might be young, but he's got plenty of experience in that brain of his. And indeed, incident between Niels Langeveld and Dusan Borkovic under investigation. Tom Coronel now on the back of Isidro Callejas. Callejas tutored and in fact engineered by Pepe Oriola. Chatting to Pepe last night. Fantastic to have those kind of profile people in the paddock. And Pepe really impressed by Isidro, and I was very impressed to chat to Pepe as well. Can't believe he's only 26 years old. Feels like he's been around forever. I'd call him as much of a legend as Coronel and Bernardi and Borkovic. And those guys have all got grey hair. Ashkenat, is he close enough in the slipstream yet? Not sure he is. 3.5 tenths of a second is on the timing screen. We saw some amazing slipstream bumper car racing here a little bit earlier with the Twingo Cup. Make sure if it is on YouTube, YouTube it. Wonderful, wonderful racing of 10 cars bump drafting around this Slovakia circuit. They're not very fast, but it was great to watch. And the characteristics of this race is beginning to feel a bit the same. We've got little groups of drivers, and they are very, very close to each other. Bernardi and Ashkenat together, and then the battle for third. Girolami, Gavrilov there, and Daniel Nash, who's not had very much experience in that Cupra Competizione, or Competición, I suppose it is, in Spanish. Zengo Motorsport entering just one car with Daniel Nash, and we hope that, and Daniel actually hopes that he'll be here for the full season and he'll have a couple of teammates to help him out with. As per usual, when Daniel begins our championships, we always see him in kind of cars with no stickers and with a kind of inconspicuous overalls, and then things begin to develop. And we hope to see when we go to Paul Ricard, maybe 1 or 2 more Zengos, and Daniel would like a teammate. So no further action between Borkovic and Langeveld. That will be a lesson for Langeveld for the remainder of the season, to be a bit less fair. Right, Felice Yelmini with a mistake by the looks of things, and here comes Callejas through. Oh, sorry, this is a completely different battle. This is further back. That's Jack Young. So Yelmini with another mistake. Langeveld goes through, as does Jack Young, and Joachim Callejas. Callejas, even. Just pronouncing it like he's Spanish. And Tom Coronel has made up a position, or tried to make up a position on Callejas, and that has happened. So that's Coronel up into 6th position. Just in the background there. Can Coronel get onto the tail of the battle for third by the end of the race? He's about 2.5 seconds from it, but now we're into the period of the race where those Hankook tyres are starting to cry no more. Matto Homela's going to be under pressure here. Niels Langeveld into the pit, so damage perhaps from the contact with Dusan Borkovic. Homela's under pressure from Nicolas Bart, by the way. Bart having a less good race and found himself unable to get past Homela, even though for sure he's got the pace. Ashkenat not quite close enough on Meddy Bernardi. Look at the difference in the wheelbase of those two cars, the length of those two cars. The longer the car's wheelbase, the more understeer that car will have generally, but the more stability it will have through high-speed corners. So a shorter car rotates through slow-speed turns much easier, but then is a bit more skitty. And, overheating. Overheating, therefore, from the trip across the grass for Niels Langeveld that we saw, and that's a bit of a shame. The grass has been beautifully cut by the guys here at the Slovakia Ring in preparation for our visit, and unfortunately all the cuttings are being collected by the splitters of our various cars. Langeveld's not going to be very happy with that. But the stewards have deemed no further action. That's touring car racing. And then Bart has finally got past Homela. up to 8th position. Now it's time for Dusan Borkovic to do the same. Battle for 8th spot. Points down to 15th. Martin Rieber's got himself into the points now thanks to the retirement of Niels Langeveld. And Joachim Galasch, who we saw a little bit earlier on, in 14th. Felice Jelmini, really, the Italian temperament, I think, has got the better of him. Too many mistakes in this race. And down to, at the moment, 13th spot, as Dusan Borkovic now goes down the inside of Matto Homela. Homela has no information on these Hankook tyres at this point in the race. And with that shorter wheelbase car, I'm not quite sure he's getting the best out of them. They still run side by side, so Homela's not giving up yet as they come across the line. Serbia versus Slovakia, but Dusan has the engine to get himself ahead even before we get into turn 1. 2 more laps remaining for Ashkenat to get himself on the top step of the podium. That would be the 5th time in 6 races in TCR Europe. Oh, Galasch and Martin Rieber kissing a little bit into the 2nd turn of the lap, which is almost flat out, so not a place you want to be running side by side, really. And good to see the guys getting their elbows out, providing us with some touring car action here. Looks like that incident might be under investigation as well by the stewards. Borkovic 9th, Homela 10th. There's Niels Langeveld watching on. I can hear some shouting from somewhere on the grandstand, so there's obviously some entertainment going on out there. And Borkovic has got that move done on Homela. Homela now has Jimmy Claret and Jack Young to keep behind him with only 2 laps remaining. Oh, and that's a good move from Claret down the inside. Borkovic seems pretty slow. I think he's pretty slow through that corner generally, isn't he? That's where he seems to be getting mugged. And now Claret up the inside of Borkovic. So has Borkovic got an issue there? Or was that just a little error? Claret making up 2 positions in 2 corners. And here comes Jack Young as well. Now Claret, well, huge defence from them all. Jack Young opening a door for himself. There was not really a gap there, but everyone was going so slowly that he managed to find a way through. Not something you could do in a single-seater. I think there might be a little issue with that Audi. The lights seem to be blinking on Dusan's car. And now we're on to the last lap with 0.3 of a second separating Bernardi and Ashkenat at the head of the field. 1.4 between Girolami and Gavrilov. Naj in 5th, Coronel in 6th. Ashkenat looks to the inside, can't find a way through. Bernardi really, really deep on the grass, on the inside line there of turn number 1, and now heads over to the fast turn 2. This is where that Elantra will really feel the understeer. Ashkenat taking a little bit of curb on the inside to try and straighten the corner as much as possible, trying to have as much speed as possible down into the braking zone, and he's not close enough there. Where can he do it? Where can he open the door? Will he need to use that front bumper of the Competition? Bernardi, a wise driver. Still need to ask him why he's got number 250 on his car. What's the significance of that? Is that how many touring car races he's done this season? Probably. Final lap then. There's not that many opportunities for overtaking. Oh, that feels a little bit understeery and a little bit wide from Bernardi through there. Momentum lost. Ashkenat right on the tail. But the Elantra looks good, doesn't it, under brakes, and that's the thing. Ashkenat carrying more speed through that particular corner as well. This is the big braking zone. That would have been an opportunity under brakes, but again, as I say, the Elantra with its longer wheelbase does feel stable in the braking zones. It feels like Bernardi can go deep on the brakes. There's less than a car's length between the 2 of them. It might be a car's length of Leon, but it's certainly not an Elantra length. Just a couple of corners remaining here, and is Ashkenat going to go to the inside? No, not quite close enough. Bernardi still covers the inside line. Ashkenat using the grass, but it's not going to be enough. He's given it a good fight, but it's Meddy Bernardi, our champion from last year, who takes victory in the second race. That's his first victory in TCR Europe after not taking a victory last year. Ashkenat in second position, and Franco Girolami comes across the line in third spot. Good battles all the way through the field. Borkovic definitely with a problem in the last couple of laps of the race, just about holds on ahead of Jack Young for 10th position. Jack Young in an 11th spot. And I think Jakim Galash on the last couple of laps fell way, way back, but great battling all the way through the field. Great entertainment and not too much bad blood, although I think Dushan will be a little frustrated with only a 10th position, and Mr. Langeveld will be frustrated with him being forced onto the grass. Sebastian Loeb then, Sebastian Loeb Racing complete their first weekend in TCR Europe and a first famous victory for the Elantra. Brand new TCR car for the markets, with that slightly futuristic design, longer wheelbase than the Velostar and the i30, and a car very much suited to this kind of circuit. Question marks at the start of the weekend if they'd really got it right. Certainly free practice one, it didn't look like their pace was anywhere near the possibility of taking a victory, but Meddy Bernardi got a good start. There was nobody around him that could challenge, and whilst Mikhail Ashkenat was the faster car on track, he started down in 9th position and Bernardi held on. Fastest lap of the race was a 2:12.1 by Mikhail Ashkenat. By the end of the race, they were doing 2:14s. So they didn't fall off as much as I thought they might, considering the conditions and the weather. And great to have Franco Girolami also on the podium, brother of the famous World Touring Car star. I think his brother is actually here as well. Pretty sure I saw. I think I saw his brother working for Brutal Fish. I might have been confused if Nestor was around. But Girolami, only a couple of races in last year's championship, but did get a second at Circuit Paul Ricard in the first round of the championship. And sorry, I'm telling a lie. That was Nestor. Franco came in the last round of the championship, and so that is his first podium in TCR Europe. He's done a bit of TCR Italy. But good to have not only himself, but also the PSS team getting themselves on the podium too. Team from Macedonia, run by Viktor Davidovski. Where did Davidovski finish? 18th spot, sadly. So no points for the Macedonian. 40 points, though, to Meddy Bernardi, with that Moroccan star on the nose of the Elantra. Here to tutor Sami Taflik, who was our first retirement even before the start of the race. Quick debrief is to find out how the Elantra was. There's Ashkenat, happy boy, busy boy this year in the Cupra at world, electric and European level. And Meddy Bernardi has done it. Onto the roof to celebrate Sebastian Loeb's first victory in TCR Europe, the Elantra's first victory, and Meddy's first victory since, ooh, that's a test, 2018, I'm going to say, in Wuhan. Wuhan? Yeah, Wuhan. That place, that very famous place that actually had a street circuit, but also a bit more famous for other things. gosh, won the championship last year, didn't take a victory, as we've said before. So the last victory for Bernardi was 2018. And the victory was just by half a second over Ashkenat, with Girolami in third. Gavrilov, after a great-looking start, picking up fourth position. Naj in fifth spot. Coronel, good progress, only 5.2 back in the end in sixth. What could have been, really, for Coronel. Callejas in seventh. Nicolas Bart will be frustrated, I think, 17 seconds back, spending too much time behind Hommler, who ended up in 12th position, even behind Jack Young. So Hommler did really fade in the end. Jelmini will need to get his head in check because he really, having started on the front row of the grid, should have got himself more points than 13th. Teddy Claret 14th, Martin Rieber picking up the last of the points in 15th. Galeash, Leonov and Davidovsky, Poussier, Colombani, the rest of our finishers, those two retired. Let's chat to Meddy Bernardi. How does he feel after a victory for the first time in 3 years?
Meddy, congratulations. First win of the season and the first win for the Hyundai. How are you feeling?
Happy. I'm happy because it's something good, you know, to first outing of the car, to be on the top and to be fighting with top guys like Ascona, with the Cupra that is already 1 year development car. But the bases look strong. The team make amazing job. Drivers also to make the car working on the good way. And so proud also about Semi, that he is on the piece. And we are not only one Moroccan now to represent international motorsport. We are two. And without this mistake, he will be also fighting for the top 5 easily. So I'm very, very proud of him also to represent Morocco flag.
Mikhail didn't make it easy for you. That was quite a fight.
Yes, like every time. Never say that it's easy. I think if I remember well, some drivers overtake like 11 or 12 cars, and they are still a little bit close to me yesterday. So every time it's not easy. Never race is going to be something easy because you have to manage a lot of stuff. But on the good way that we are working on the Hyundai now, we were struggling a lot on practice. But I want to thank a lot the team, all of the team. Is when I say team, it's also 4 drivers that give the best feedback to go on the good way. So I'm very, very happy for them. And, you know, it's our first race of the car, so I hope it's going better and better. And we are here. We are here to fight. So every time we are here to fight to the maximum. And I don't want to lose my P1 because it's something that's my job is to make it for Hyundai. So I think everybody on Hyundai Motorsport will be very happy now.
I'm sure they are. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
Well, that should have put a smile on Andrea Adamo's face, wherever he might be in the world this weekend. The boss of Hyundai Motorsport. Ashkenat leads the championship by a pretty healthy margin over Meddy Bernardi in second position. Daniel Naj in third, so that will be inspiration for him to come back with Zengo and a couple of teammates. Nicolas Bart fourth, Coronel fifth, Girolami in sixth position, Borkovic seventh, Gavrilov in eighth spot, and it's pretty tight once you look a bit further down. Longeveld in ninth, should have really got more, shouldn't he, out of the weekend? A shame for him in that second race. Jelmini in 10th position. Callejas, surprising actually, considering the performance. I'm surprised that he's 11th in the championship, just ahead of Jack Young. And then Claret, Leonov and Rieber, the 15th. And we've got points down to 20th already. Nice to see also Meddy Bernardi appreciating Semi Tauflik and representatives of the Moroccan flag in international motorsport, and of course that's one of the reasons why Meddy's here, to tutor Sammy and to try and bring the next generation, because of course Meddy is really old, being 37. Joking, I'm 36, Meddy. Right, let's get our podium going on. Franco Girolami should be happy with that. First podium for him in TCR Europe and PSS. And yes, it was Nesta that I saw yesterday tutoring Viktor Davidovsky. So both Girolami brothers are here. Ashkenat, a P2 and a P1 out of the weekend, and a P2 in qualifying. You should be very, very happy with that. Oh, I like that the podium announcer is in his race suit. He's ready to get himself in the LMP3 car from ALC Bratislava. Meddy Bernardi then on the podium, on the top step of the podium, for the Moroccan national anthem in a few moments' time. And there is Sebastian Loeb Racing getting themselves the team's trophy, and Martin Rieber in the Diamond Trophy for drivers, I think, above 40 years old. Not that far away from being a master. Neither's Meddy Bernardi and Coronel is, but apparently you can't be a master in the World Championship as well. Right, Moroccan national anthem it is. Oh, I like the kind of the fade echo effect on the end of that national anthem. I've not noticed that before.
Please, gentlemen, take up your trophies and put it up in the air for the picture moment.
History being made then. Meddy Bernardi taking his first victory in TCR Europe, would you believe? His first victory since 2018. The first victory for Hyundai Motorsport and the Elantra in sprint racing generally. And the Pommery sprays for the first time, or for the second time, in TCR Europe for 2021. We're going to be heading off in a couple of weeks' time to Paul Ricard at the end of May, and then it's Zandvoort in the middle of June. And then support races for Spa 24 Hours. We also go to Monza and Barcelona as well. A busy year of racing. And if you're watching and want to take part, make sure you get in touch with us and come and join us in TCR Europe. You are always welcome. It's been fantastic for me to be back here as well. A big thank you personally for having me back. A big thank you to Neil Hudson and Phil Kinch for helping me out when I was doubting myself. And also to Mark James for allowing me to be in this position once more, and for all the guys at TCR Series and TCR Europe. It's been wonderful to be back in the paddock. What a welcoming paddock to be part of. And as I say, if you want to come racing in TCR Europe. We'll see you in Ricard at the end of May. Until then, enjoy your motorsport and see you soon.